This week on List Rate Rank.
How is that number 4?
Hey, Dave, leave him alone. He's an expert.
Bullshit. No!
On List Rate Rank, our hosts research various topics and each bring their own top 5 list to the show. Together they debate, discuss, and deliberate, and with the help of an expert, one definitive and indisputable top 5 list is created.
May it not rain tacos where you are.
This is List Rate Rank.
All right, welcome to the show. This is David Fedor, and I'm here once again, pinch hitting for Joe. Orlando Omega, welcome to the show, Orlando.
That's my baseball crack of the bat, pinch hitting. I'm ready to battle.
Today we are going to go the top 5 earworm songs that get stuck in your head that just drive you crazy. Orlando, last time we were on the show, I elbowed you out of the way and went first. So as a courtesy for your second show here on List Rate Rank, I will let you go first.
I will gladly accept. I have a lineup that spans decades for you today. We got some deep cuts, some popular songs. And I'm going to start in the 70s with a song that it's not necessarily the lyrics as much as the bass line that'll get stuck in your head, and you will hear it over and over again. It is the Knack's My Sharona. So when you hear the bass line, this is a bass line. It'll get stuck in your head. So here we go. I'll play a little bit for you.
Like singing it wasn't enough?
That's right. All right. That is My Sharona. The Knack is a very popular song, has held the test of time. But that bass line, it'll drill into your head time and time again.
Yes, that is definitely an excellent pick. One that has plagued many people over a decade. Now, I started off my top 5 list, my number 5, with a song that will be equally everlasting, standing the test of time. It's a newer song, but I have faith it'll have a big, long, illustrious, legendary status, just like the Knack's My Sharona. Friday by Rebecca Black.
Ooh.
The YouTube sensation has 125 million views. Basically a rich kid. Her parents bought her a production company to come in and make a song. Rebecca Black's Friday, my earworm song, number 5. Should she take?
It's Friday, gotta get down on Friday. Everybody looking forward to the weekend. Friday, getting down on Friday. Everybody's looking forward to the weekend. Partying.
Yeah.
Partying.
Yeah.
Fun. Looking forward to the weekend.
So that is my number 5, ridiculously eloquently sung with skill and precision by Rebecca Black.
Yeah, I always went to, when I heard that song, the Katy Perry song Last Friday Night, where they singing about the same Friday.
That is interesting. We'll have to do a deep dive later and check out the parallels between those two songs. That could be our follow-up article. So check out our blog, folks.
Yeah, your song is about the Friday coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Katy Perry was about last Friday night. Maybe they were the same.
I'm pretty sure Katy Perry was making out with a girl in her song. I wonder if that's Rebecca Black.
Whoa, deep cuts.
Yeah, we'll put that there and come back later. Check out our blog. All right, you're number 4, sir.
I'm going to battle you with a YouTube sensation here. It's one that I can sing for 10 hours straight in the day, over and over again. It's Raining Tacos from Out of the Sky. Tacos, no need to ask why.
It's raining tacos from out of the sky.
right. Okay. All right. I tap.
That's one that can go on forever. And there actually are people who've put compilations together that'll loop 10 hours of its rating tacos if you can't get enough of it.
It's a good pick. I think this might be the most dangerous top 5 we've ever done, because all these songs are going to be stuck in my head for the next 3 weeks. Like when we did the ABBA episode, I've literally been listening to ABBA for a month straight, loving it, every second of it. But this is going to haunt me.
I can tell you that I'm grateful that's going to haunt you much more than me, because after this is over, I'm done with it. You still have to edit the episode. You're going to hear it for another 6 to 7 hours. So
yeah, and
may it not rain tacos where you are.
Much appreciated. Thank you very much. My number 4, "Who Let the Dogs Out" by the Baha Men.
Oh, good pick.
So this is a
slugfest.
We got some heavy hitters, that's for sure. The Baha Men, "Who Let the Dogs Out," it was dominated the scene back in the early 2000s. My college roommate, quick story about this song. Of course, I have one. My college roommate, Justin, turned 21. A couple of us traveled to his hometown of York, Pennsylvania to celebrate his 21st birthday with him. And we were at a bar. I don't know what it was, but I think it was a beach theme, because there was like wood everywhere and it was kind of festive. But they played this song that was so compelling, so awesome, and so amazing that we sang it all night, and they played it a bunch of times with these dogs and blah, blah, blah. It turns out it was "Who Let the Dogs Out." But we heard it like a couple weeks before it exploded, before it got really huge. And I was always proud of being ahead of that curve, being like, oh yeah, I was one of the first people ever to hear Baha Men, "Who Let the Dogs Out." Not that qualified me to answer the question at all. I never did, and I don't think.
But I could also answer the question. Dave, I think you let the dogs out.
It might have been me, Justin, and my friend Doug.
That's correct.
Yeah, shit. So here is a small sample just to get your whistles wet.
Who let the dogs out? 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 When the party was nice, the party was pumping. And everybody having a bar. Until the fellas started name calling. And the girls respond to the call. I hear a poor white shout out. Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out?
All right, so you get the idea. Now, one of the things I like about this song is it's raining tacos. Very simple, kind of repetitive, constructed. This one is repetitive. The refrain is repetitive, but it has some complexity to the verses and has some other things going on. So,
yeah, that is a simple theme that I found, really digging into what songs have been stuck in my head over the years. And it's a lot of times it's simple bass lines, simple repetitive drum lines, and very catchy choruses. Those three things come together, and you're stuck. So this is gonna go ahead. Can I go to my number 3?
Yep. Go ahead.
This one maybe hasn't been. This isn't a radio song. This hasn't been played on the radio, but we've all grown up with this song, and we've all found ourselves singing the theme to this song. There's the one day when this lady met the fellow. Let's see what we got here.
Here's the story.
Now, how many times have we sung this song?
Who was bringing up 3 very lovely girls. All of them had hair of gold, like their mother.
And those horns kick in.
It's the story of a man named Brady who was busy with 3 boys.
See, now the version that you were playing just now was the one where the kids were actually doing the singing themselves.
They were all alone.
Here we go.
Till the one day when the lady met this fellow, and they knew that it was much more than a hunch. That this group must somehow form a family. That's the way we all became the Brady Bunch. The Brady Brady Bunch. The Brady Bunch.
All right, the Brady Bunch. We've sung it. I've heard, children sing it, 20 years, 30 years younger than myself, singing the Brady Bunch. You just hear people walking around singing it. Not that it's a popular radio song, but we all grew up watching so much of it, rerun after rerun, episode after episode, that it's so funny that you'll just hear people walking down the street and they'll be singing the Brady Bunch song.
It's ingrained in culture. I remember that was my very first favorite show. I had the hugest crush on Cindy Brady.
Oh, yeah. That's a weird one.
Is it?
Yeah, I think so.
I guess I was age appropriate.
Yeah.
I was
32.
32, so it was okay. Anyway, I guess we'll have to edit that part out.
Yeah.
But yeah, that I still remember the camping episodes where they get lost, they eat the beans out of the flashlights and the tiki torches or the tiki medallion.
You remember all the episodes when they were away from the house.
Well, yeah. And
you going on adventures with the Brady Bunch.
Oh, it's always more fun when you can have adventures. All right, so that takes us to my number 3.
All right.
1980s classic. Probably one of the very first popular music videos. Hey Mickey by Tony Basil. So now, the cool thing about this song, again, we're looking at repetition. We're looking at, catchy beats, things like that. It's a cheerleader cheer. The video was cheerleaders and things like that. What is interesting about this song, something that I didn't know until recently, is that it's a cover.
Yes.
It is a cover of an original song by a band called Racey, Racey. The song is called Kitty. So it's sung by men about a woman as opposed to women singing about a dude named Mickey. So here's a little bit of Kitty by the band Racey. It's girls like you, Kitty.
Kitty. Kitty meow.
So that was a little bit of mind blow to me, learning that that's not an original for Mickey. But yeah, that was my number 3.
And that's a great pick. It was in my top 5. We almost matched on that. But when we talked about that simple repetition, I went with the Nat's My Sharona, the dun dun.
Yeah, okay.
And the Hey Mickey has the same type of drum line, the boom bum 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 bum. So yeah. You get to hear me sing for that one. So I'm going out strong on the 90s here. I got 2 picks remaining. I got one for you. A very popular band, very popular song. I don't know if they ever really repeated their popularity. The song became insanely popular, so much so that they started to turn against themselves. They didn't want to be so popular, so they came out with stories that they were an anarchist band, and they just weren't a pop band. They were only doing this to promote anarchy. And you may be familiar with this song. You may have been knocked down, but you'll get up again. This is Chubbawamba's Tub Thumping.
I get knocked down.
Very popular, unbelievably popular song from 97. Just when it was on everything in movies, TV, commercials, it was everywhere. You could not even escape that song for more than 30 minutes in 97, 98 time period. It was just gigantic. A huge hit for them.
Yeah, it was enormous. And then almost to the point where it made them one-hit wonders. They didn't have too much more here in the States, especially. You didn't hear from Chumbawamba too much.
Yeah, that was it. Done.
Yeah.
Done Bawamba. Oh, is Dave calling an audible?
Oh, that jogged a couple memories, so I want to write them down. They'll be honorable mentions because I don't have them queued up, and that's not how this works. I made my list. I'm sticking to it. My number 2 is Barbie Girl by Aqua. So that song got them in a lot of trouble with Mattel, the makers of Barbie, and I think they had to settle. And another infectious, quite provocative, and very catchy Earworm song.
But yeah, that you're not gonna believe this. That was also on my list. I cut it for a couple other songs, so I'm a little concerned here, Dave. I really feel that we've matched the last 2. Could we match this? Unbelievably, this is an early 90s song and over 74 million views on YouTube. And I'm not even going to tell you what it is. I'm going to cue it up and you'll know right away. Here we go.
That's a nice one.
Now that is another one you just couldn't escape from the radio. It had so much airtime, and that was before you could just turn to the internet and change the music or put on something different. Every radio station in your town was playing MMMBop 24 hours a day. It was just on everywhere. Another song that you couldn't escape, and even if you hated it, you were humming it. You were you're humming that stupid song, and it's one that just drills into your head and sticks.
And the thing with them, it's by a band called Hanson. They're all brothers.
Yes, correct.
So they were very, very young at the time. So they had that fun, innocent, not the pre-boy bands. This was pre-boy band era. So they kind of became teen sensations. And there were a lot of parallels. A lot of people know that I'm a huge Bee Gees fan. When the Bee Gees started, there were 3 brothers. They were about that age, and they started making music. But Hanson couldn't get past this MMMBop stigma. They kind of got blacklisted for a while. They're still performing, though, and they still do a lot of cool charity stuff.
And I'll accept you're one of the first boy bands if you take out New Kids on the Block and Sync, Boys to Men. I'm sure that they were one of the first.
All right. Yeah, you're right.
I'm sure there's even ones before. I mean, all the 50s doo-wop, and there was so many boy bands prior.
But it was before the boy band era. As I hit my microphone, it was before the boy band era, though, when those were just bands. It wasn't like a genre. Or maybe it was. I don't know. Whatever.
I don't know. Yeah, I can tell you, I didn't have any Teen Beat magazines in my room, and there were no posters on my wall.
Yeah. All right. So my number 1 is not Hanson's MMMBop. It is a newer song, and it is a song that pretty much broke the internet. 3 billion views on YouTube. Makes this my number 1 song that gets stuck in your head. Size Gangnam Style. Gangnam Style. Gangnam Style. Gangnam Style. And I could sit here and watch this video all day because it is amazing. So the Gangnam Style, it's kind of like a socio-political statement, I learned. Gangnam is a neighborhood in South Korea that is very rich. So this guy is saying Gangnam Style is living like you're rich, but he himself isn't. He's a faker, he's a phony. So through the video, he's basically being embarrassed and doing all this silly, absurd, stupid stuff, trying to fit in with all the rich, posh people of Gangnam, but he just can't do it. It's an amazing song. It's amazing video. It's so absurdly cool. The coolest people in the world are in this video, and it's my number one earworm song.
He was living La Vida Loca. He was.
Well, that brings me to my next point. There were a lot of songs like Living La Vida Loca that could have made our top 5, but didn't. Let's go to our honorable mentions. I'll go first. I have a couple. The ones that you jogged my memory that I was writing down and you accused me of cheating reminded me of a couple from that same time with Chumbawamba is I'm Too Sexy.
Oh.
And I Would Walk 500 Miles.
I have that one queued up. That was my wild card.
That was your wild card?
Yeah.
And then a couple other ones, the Blue, Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger by Daft Punk, and the Macarena by Los Del Rio. Those were my honorable mentions. How about you?
I had the Mambo number 6.
I'm sure that was number 5.
Yeah, well, you haven't heard the follow-up, Mambo number.
Well,
I had Mambo number 5, the Proclaimers, which we both matched, and I also had, I forget. I really used all the ones that I had.
All right, very cool. So again, there are a plethora of these songs. We'll see which ones our expert brings, but before we bring him on, we have to consolidate our 2 top 5 lists into one master list, one top 5 list that we take to him to rank. Now, both our number ones will automatically go to the next round. So let me start here. Gangnam Style and
Hanson Mbop with 3 M's.
Mbop.
Mbop. Blah, 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 blah.
So those will make it to our master list, but we're wide open for the rest of the 3 that we need to take. We have our 8 to choose from. So let's start making a case for them.
Okay. I'm going to have to make a case. Chumbawamba that song was I Get Knocked Down. That song was just drilled and ingrained in people's head. I think that's a pretty good one. I'd be willing to concede it's Raining Tacos for Chumbawamba. I think if I have to pick between Raining Tacos and Chumbawamba way more drills into your head and into far more people's heads than Raining Tacos has.
Well, yeah, I think the Raining Tacos probably doesn't have the range and the exposure that the other ones had. And I'll also nominate Friday by Rebecca Black to be added to that list. While there was 120 whatever million people watching on YouTube, it's not as huge as Real Songs. Yeah, so let's eliminate It's Raining Tacos and we'll eliminate Friday. I want to make a case for Who Let the Dogs Out by Baha Men. Even though I had it listed as number 4 on mine, the cultural impact of that one was huge.
Yeah, that is definitely a big song, and we did find out from this episode that you, in fact, may have let the dogs out. So we're at the source.
So by that, I think that should go into our joint top 5.
Who Let the Dogs Out? I would agree with that. That's a great one. So does that mean there's one spot remaining? Or yes. you did not accept Chumbawamba?
I will accept Chumbawamba since you so readily accepted Who Let the Dogs Out. Which means we have one more, and this is the one we're going to be fighting tooth and nail.
This one's going to be tough
because we have Barbie Girl, we have Mickey, and we have
the Brady Bunch and the Knack. My Sharona. Now, here's what I'll do. I'll do first, and if you want to do it too, I'm gonna take I'm going to pick of my two. One of those isn't as strong as the other.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm comparing the Brady Bunch catchiness to My Sharona, I'm going to think My Sharona, that bass line just gets stuck in people's heads more than, and it's a tough one, more than people would sing the Brady Bunch.
Yeah, I could see that. Now let's take a look at Barbie Girl and Mickey. Mickey stood the test of time, but it is a cover song, so we could potentially disqualify that because it's a cover song. I don't know why you would, but an argument could be made for it. And Barbie Girl didn't really last too long.
Yeah, my argument for your two songs would be, I don't think people know the words as well to Barbie Girl as they do to Hey Mickey. I think because of that, that beat might get stuck in your head, but I don't think the Barbie Girl.
Well, same thing could be said about My Sharona. What besides the My Sharona?
My, woo! Ric Flair even sings a cover of that song. Woo, Ric Flair.
Somebody needs to edit that. Can that be your homework for this? Can you take and make a file of that?
My, woo!
All right, My Sharona.
Wow, that was easy.
Well, no. All right, so here's the caveat.
You're redacting.
If you make that version of that song, I will let it go ahead to number 5 to present to our expert. Of course, all I have to take you with is your word.
Correct. And this is hard because if we were going to battle between Brady Bunch and the Knack, I would think the Knack, and then between
the Knack and Mickey.
That's where I think, because they're both I think they both get stuck in people's heads for the same reason. That simple, repetitive beat. So between those two, that's I think where the battle for the 5th spot is. Now, if I edit a Ric Flair version, you're saying the Knack is a better song. So I think just by that alone, whether I agree to that or not, the Knack is the more dominant song.
Now, I mean, besides the Hey Mickey, there's not too much besides in memorable to that song either. So,
yeah. The Brady Bunch it is.
I don't think it's how it works. All right, so that's our top 5. Then we have Gangnam Style, Bop, Tub Thumping, Who Let the Dogs Out, and My Sharona. We're going to take that to our expert. Now, after the break, we're going to be met with Hunter Farris. He's a musician and also studies the science behind music and how our brain reacts to it. So it's going to be fascinating hearing from him. So stay tuned after the break. We'll be right back.
Hello, my name is Brian, and I help run Disc Golf Examiner. Now, you may be asking yourself, what's disc golf?
Golf! Frisbee golf, Jerry! Golf with a frisbee!
It's a growing sport that is played like golf, but with a disc or frisbee, and your target is a basket made of chains that catches discs.
Get it!
We want you to join us during this exciting expansion of our sport. If you're interested, check out Disc Golf Examiner on Facebook and YouTube, or visit us on our website at discgolfexaminer.com. And as always, keep banging those chains.
Yeah! Woo! Woo!
All right, welcome back. Hunter Farris has been playing piano for 19 years. He has taught people to apply music theory to learning to play their favorite songs for 3 years. He currently runs the Song Appeal podcast on the science behind why we like the music we like. Hunter is also today's guest expert on top 5 songs that get stuck in your head. Hunter, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, now you are a music professional. Tell me a little bit about your background. You've been playing piano for 19 years. How'd you get started with that?
The same way everybody gets started, to be perfectly honest. I heard a song, I sat down, tried to play it, and did a terrible job. After about an hour, I finally figured out how to play it just by sheer trial and error. This is when I was like 4, and I kept just doing that, just playing just for the fun of it, until my parents eventually decided to sign me up for lessons, at which point I stopped playing for the fun of it and started playing for practice sake. Anyway, eventually I learned how to play by ear and realized, wait a minute, I don't have to learn Bach and Beethoven. I can learn Bon Jovi and Bowling for Soup. I am so in. And I just dove right into it, found these really cool principles of music theory, and thought, so this is how music works. The music became really easy for me to figure out what was going to happen next because of learning those principles of music theory. And eventually I decided, you know what, I really need to teach other people how to do this, because there are a lot of people who are struggling through it through sheer trial and error, and I'd love for them to get to learn a little faster than 19 years.
Well, tell me a little bit about, you mentioned the principles of music theory. What does that mean? I don't know anything about music. Yeah, so
music theory is the ideas behind what makes music work. I'm pretty sure that's a word-for-word quote from Adam Neely, a music theorist on YouTube. Anyway, it's the really simple stuff that any musician absolutely hates learning, that's all theoretical and doesn't involve actually playing. The names of chords, the names of scales, the names of intervals, but also the relationships between those, and what makes them sound good and what makes them sound cool, and all sorts of crazy fun stuff like that.
So while the Von Trapps are dancing across the mountaintops and sewing together curtains and singing, what they're really doing in that montage is discussing all this stuff.
Literally, yes. The Do Re Mi song is the most basic piece of music theory that you can possibly have. And then they throw a little bit more in there to make it more interesting for the Von Trapps, so that it's not just, okay, here are the rules, here are the names. They're actually learning the notes to sing so that they can sing most anything.
Very cool. Very cool. So then now, 19 years later, you've been teaching for the past 3. In your bio you sent me, you said you're teaching them how to play their own favorite songs. Is that your approach to getting them involved? How do you explain your teaching style?
That is the fundamental thing that I advertise. A lot of people hate learning music because they're learning songs they don't like. I mean, most of the songs you learn, if you've ever taken a beginning piano class, are songs you've never heard of for copyright reasons. They can't print those songs in books.
Interesting.
Sorry, they can't print songs you actually like in books for copyright reasons. So instead, I throw out the book and say, well, then let's learn the songs you like by ear. Because I've found that when I give a student a song they like, I can't stop them from practicing. And so I'll tell parents, your kids will actually enjoy practicing, and they call me up and say, hey, I would love for you to get to teach my kids.
That's very cool. That's very cool. So what are some of the favorite songs that you learned to play, and then what's the kind of style that you like to play now?
Oh, good question. I really enjoy pop punk music. Pop punk, alternative rock, power pop. So Bowling for Soup, Fall Out Boy, Matchbox 20, Lifehouse, The Click 5, Fountains of Wayne. You get the idea. I play piano, guitar, and organ. Organ is so much fun. It's a whole lot more fun than you would expect. I mentioned that I saw some really cool principles in music theory. I find that people generally don't like music theory. Like, I follow this guy on Twitter who all he does is retweet people complaining about music theory.
That sounds like a very disgruntled person.
Yeah. And all I do when I see that guy's posts is I just reply, hey, can I help? Because I want people to get this. I want it to make sense. Music theory is almost built to make sense. And it's really disappointing when it doesn't, because it shows me that somebody didn't get why this stuff makes so. Anyway, I'm going to try not to rant too much. The point is, I realize there are a lot of people who don't like music theory, and I like music theory because I see it as a way to control what your song does. I can accidentally write a song that gets exactly the result I want, but I'd really rather use the tools that I have to make the song do exactly what I want it to be super energetic or to be really emotional. I'd rather use the tools that I have if I want to make you cry through a song.
Now, do you think people apply these music theories consciously when they're writing songs? Because it seems like now modern music, a lot of it seems like it might be algorithms that are writing these things, whereas maybe in years previous it was more through emotion or whatever. Can you talk a little to that?
It's exactly the opposite of what you would expect.
Ah.
So when you listen to these songwriters writing these songs, what you find is that they're working really, really fast. Sugar We're Going Down by Fall Out Boy, the melody is written in less than 10 minutes. The melody for The Middle by Zed, Maren Morrison Gray, why don't you just meet me in the middle? They wrote that thing in like 5 minutes. Sia was once working with the lead singer of Fitz and the Tantrums, and the lead singer of Fitz and the Tantrums, Michael Fitzpatrick. Yes, Michael Fitzpatrick said, "Okay, Sia, I've got these lyrics," and Sia said, "Give me 10 minutes." Walks out the door. 10 minutes later, comes back and has a complete song, and then does the same thing 2 more times in a row.
That's impressive. So music theory then and these principles of music are almost explanations for the innate things that musicians do?
Exactly. Sometimes they don't even know they're doing it. I was emailing a little while ago with the guy who wrote the theme song for the NBC sitcom Community. And I said, hey, you did this really interesting music theory thing. You didn't use major, you didn't use minor, you used a scale called the Mixolydian scale. Why? And he replied, I didn't know I was doing that. I just thought it sounded cool.
Wait, so that's one of my favorite theme songs. Like, we should probably do another top 5 theme songs of all time. Community is one of the most amazing, fun shows, and the opening theme song is infectious. That gets stuck in your head. That's an amazing song. So you talked to the guy who wrote that song?
Yeah, I was emailing back and forth with him. I wanted to do an episode on it, and I wanted to interview him before the episode, and then found out, he had no idea what he was doing. He just thought it sounded cool.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Now, that said, Patrick Stump, the guy who wrote the melody for Sugar We're Going Down, is a musical genius. Sia is a musical genius. These guys, it's not that they're just messing around and in 10 minutes happen to find something good. They're just so darn good at the music theory that they don't have to think about it anymore. When you sit down and write an email, you don't have to think about grammar or syntax. I mean, maybe you do a little bit because like grammar is weird sometimes, and some of us are really bad at grammar. But like usually, you don't have to think. Wait, does the verb go before the subject or not? Mm-hmm. These guys are the same way. When you get to the professional songwriters, they're just so good at it that they can move so quickly and that they don't have to think about it anymore.
Wow. All right, so people listening at home can understand the community theme that we're talking about. I'm going to play a little sample of it now because we don't care about copyright laws here on List Rate Rank.
I'm going to say it's for educational purposes because it's explaining the concept of the Mixolydian scale through an example. Give me the hope to run out of steam. Somebody said it could be here.
So there we go. That's just a clip of the full song because I have a playlist on Spotify of TV themes, and that's been on it for years. That's pretty interesting how something that permeates pop culture that becomes, a representation of a show, while crafted beautifully, also can be unintentionally also scientifically brilliant.
That's my main thing. I take the things that I take the songs that people love and show them why they love it. I show them why this song is so brilliant. But mostly I just stick with why people like it because I don't pretend to know what a good song or a bad song is.
Well, no, you have to know because we're going to ask you about songs here in a second.
Let me phrase that. I don't pretend to know what a good song is or a bad song, in that I won't say your song is bad or your song is good. I will say your song is likable.
Okay. I mean, are there could there be good and bad earworms? I guess that's what we're going to explore today. Just because a song can get stuck in your head doesn't mean it's a great song.
I mean, to get a little specific about that, I heard a song. I can't remember what it was called. I don't know if I ever knew what it was called, but it was like specifically constructed to be an earworm. We'll probably dig into the reasons behind that in a little while. But the line that would get stuck in your head is, "I don't even know if I believe." Now, there are a lot of people with a lot of faith who who wouldn't take kindly the idea of having stuck in their heads the idea of not knowing if they believe. So, I mean, there can be some lyrics that are dangerous, there can be some music that's dangerous, but I try to not get into that. That said, let's dive into that.
Well, let's present you with our top 5 that we have scientifically broken down between Orlando and myself. In no particular order, here we go. Gangnam Style, Bop, Tub Thumping, Who Let the Dogs Out, and My Sharona.
I can see it. Those are really good choices. Those are really good choices.
There were plenty more where that came from, but that's between our negotiations what we came up with. Now, what I'm going to have you do is let us know from 5 to 1 where you think these ones should be ranked in order.
I'm going to put My Sharona as number 5, not because of Orlando's singing.
Well, that's a fair clarification.
One of the reasons songs get stuck in our heads is because we experience something that's topically relevant. So, Sharona is not exactly a common name these days. It might have been when the song came out. Now I really want to check census records and see, like, was Sharona more common before that song, after that song, or like decades after that song? Yeah. Because
I just wanted to clarify that one of the reasons we had 2 songs that were kind of close. My Sharona and Hey Mickey, and we both agreed that the simplicity between the repetition of the drum line and that bass line is what gets stuck in your head. Not necessarily the name or the lyrics, but a little bit of the my, but the dun 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 bum bum bam, like that beat just is one of the things that gets stuck in your head.
I think we need to stop saying that, or it will go down to number 6.
Oh, that would be a first time in List Rate Rank.
Yeah, we're gonna elevate.
I would lose a point, I believe. I go -1.
Yeah, we'd elevate Mickey. We'll switch it out and put Mickey back in. And I would be remiss not to mention Monk's sidekick, Sharona, from the hit TV show Monk.
I was wondering if you were talking about Monk.
Yeah, that's my favorite Sharona. But
that might actually get the song stuck in people's heads sometimes, but I don't think it's as powerful as the other ones.
All right, so then what would be number 4 for you on our top 5?
I'm gonna say Gangnam Style. That's number 4.
Okay.
Now, me being 25 and saying that Gangnam Style isn't as earwormy as the other ones sounds really weird. One of the reasons songs get stuck in our heads is just because of sheer overexposure. That song was viewed 1 billion times on YouTube.
It's now up to 3.
3 billion. Dang. I'm talking 2 billion by like 2012 when it was still actually listened to, when anybody still cared. If you expose somebody to any song enough, they'll get it stuck in their head, even years later. But the problem is, there's not really enough lyrically relevant situations that might get somebody to re-access the memory of that song. Other than catcalling at somebody, I'm trying to think how often somebody says "Hey, sexy lady" in real life. But now that I say that, you've got the song stuck in your head. Sorry, guys.
No, you've just encouraged me to go catcalling, so that's cool.
No, please don't.
Now, I wonder, in the early 2000s, I owned a skateboard company called Sexy Lady. I wonder if I have any royalties with this song.
The other issue is there's really only one lyrically relevant situation because all the rest of the lyrics are in Korean.
Correct.
It's not like you can hear a phrase and have your brain re-access the memory of the verse because us stupid Americans have no idea what the verses are.
The half, I would say 75% of the fun and excitement of that song is the video. It's just ridiculously amazing. I can understand why it has 3 billion views. I think maybe 100,000 of them are from me.
I guess the point that I'm trying to make here is, while it has some things going for it, the things that it has going for it aren't that powerful. And
well, the point I'm trying to make here, pal, is you're wrong. Should be higher. Damn it. Can't tell which one I had in this. All right, what's number 3 on?
I'm guessing that Gangnam Style was Orlando's choice then, considering how strong we were pushing for Gangnam Style.
Yeah, I might have tipped my cards there. All right, what's number 3?
Number three.
Mbop, tub thumping, Who Let the Dogs Out?
Okay. I know I've heard Mbop, but I cannot remember it by that name. Orlando, would you mind singing it for me just so I can remember it?
Oh, I can do better than that. Let's see here. I'll give you a little sample just so you're familiar with it.
Okay, cool.
Now, if you don't know it by now, you're never going to know it.
It's three little white kids scatting. Come on.
Yes.
That has got to be the hook. I honestly don't think I've ever heard this song in my life.
Oh.
I love it now that I've heard it. I just don't think I've ever heard that, which just... I'm sorry, that's just really weird to me that I would have... This seems like one of those songs just so culturally relevant that I feel like I should have heard it at least once.
Well, that's all the time we have here on this episode of List Rate Rank. We have to disqualify our expert.
That said, I can tell you why people
wait. You picked Gangnam Style over a song you've never heard before. How is that number 4?
Hey, Dave, leave him alone. He's an expert.
Bullshit. No, this is my show, damn it. He literally said, I've never heard this song before.
As if you couldn't tell, my silence has been just an utter agreement of the expert here.
This is...
Well,
Dave, are you sure that you picked Gangnam Style? Because I'm not really sure that you were the one who put
that
this
was my
one in the
number
pot.
1. That was my heavy hitter. That was my big time shot at the championship. Bob, the song you've never heard before, beats it. Of course, that was Orlando's song. Of course, that was his song.
As you can tell, I would not do well in politics. Or at the Oscars.
All right. Well, Hunter, let's move along. Now you have your homework to do, so you know what to do.
Why people would get Mbop stuck in their heads now that I know what it sounds like.
Make something up. Go ahead.
Okay. So you've heard of the 4-chord song, most likely. Yes?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah, sure.
The 4-chord song?
Yeah,
The 4-chord song.
Hanson wrote a 4-chord song called Mbop.
Yes. That's exactly the point. Okay, the 4-chord song was a song and a comedy act by Axis of Awesome that demonstrated how a ridiculous amount of pop songs from the last 40 years have used exactly the same 4 chords. Those chords are 1, 5, 6, 4. The head of HookTheory.com later said that those might be the most common chords of all time. Mbop uses those chords so strongly and so powerfully that this might be the best example of the 4 chords I've ever heard in my life. That when people hear other 4-chord songs that use the 1, 5, 6, 4 chord progression, they might hear Mbop out of that and get Mbop stuck in their heads.
Completely agree.
Okay, fine. Okay. I'm just gonna pout. I'm just gonna pout for the rest of the episode.
Dave, do I need to apologize?
Yeah, maybe, but we'll move along instead.
Cool, because I'm not apologizing.
I like it.
All right.
As
give
you
us
can
number
tell,
2.
I would do horribly in politics.
Wait, and I don't believe that was actually designated as number 3. We were just talking about what song did you pick for number 3?
I am going to put that as number 3.
Oh, I just the last chance
try
on
to
that.
elevate that a little bit more. Is that not?
All right. Well, since it's officially number 3, just the
I'm
history.
with Dave. Is number 3 not good enough for you?
I'm just going to theorize. I'm just going to throw this out there that maybe when we first read the 5 and there was one that you didn't recognize, you would have either A, put that at number 5 or been like, hey, play this song, jog my memory a little bit, and faked it.
Dave, if anything, that only proves a song he's never heard. He heard one time and it went right to number 3. That's the power of Bop. And if you're not familiar with the song at all, in the late 90s, this song, I don't know, maybe it was early 90s. I don't know when Bop was. Maybe 93.
Maybe 94. I'm going to guess 94.
This was the biggest song for 18 months. And everybody had, I mean, it was played every 30 minutes on the radio. Just boom, 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 boom. You could not escape. This is 97?
97.
You could not escape the song. There was no internet to back up to. You had to hear the song every 30 minutes on the radio, and it was in everybody's head. And
so perhaps overexposure did the same thing to Bop that it did to Gangnam Style.
It may have.
Yeah. So Hanson is 3 brothers, and they were very young when this came out. This was like their big, huge hit, and it was so popular that I think that caused the backlash to make them fade into obscurity to the point where people don't know it anymore.
Yeah, Overplay has done a lot of songs a disservice. I really wish it wouldn't. I really wish radio stations would get the idea that this has been long enough for this song, and if they play this song one more time, they're going to kill it. And we want to enjoy this song.
Well, luckily nobody listens to radio anymore, so there's never a chance of another Bop.
Okay, so the other 2 were Who Let the Dogs Out and Tub Thumpin'.
Correct.
Now, just to check, do people in your target, do the listeners back home tend to know that Tub Thumpin' is the name of the song?
We'll take it to a vote for the listeners at home right now, because also Chumbawamba as the band is not a recognizable stick in your head remembrance either.
I think most people just call it "I Get Knocked Down." That's that I Get Knocked Down song.
I honestly thought it was the Beastie Boys. For like years, I thought this song was by the Beastie Boys.
No kidding.
That said, okay, moving on. Tub Thumping is not my number 2. I was just checking for audience recognition because otherwise this whole thing would make no sense. Okay.
In that case, no. And in that case, no. Our audience doesn't know, so maybe we shouldn't make that number 1.
Okay. The reason why I'm going to say Who Let the Dogs Out is number 1, same idea as most of them. Topically relevant situations. You have no idea how many times I've heard people say something that led somebody else to reply, Who let the dogs out? Or led somebody else to reply, Who? It's happened way too many times. But the other reason is because the lyrics keep repeating themselves over and over and over again. Oh my gosh. My girlfriend walked in as soon as I said, Who, and started dancing.
So Who Let the Dogs Out is your number 1?
Number 2.
Your number 2. I thought he said 1.
So the phrases keep repeating themselves over and over and over again. Really cool, weird thing about this. When your brain hears a song and tries to play it, when you try to play a song in your head that has a lyric that loops over and over and over, you get the same kind of loop you would get in an algorithm, where the loop basically says, play this line, then play that line again, then play that line again, then play that line again, and your brain stops knowing when to stop. That's part of what makes a song get stuck in your head. That's also the reason why I put this one so much higher than the others. This one has so much more of that than the others. it uses the same line over and over so much that your brain really has no idea when to stop. That's also the reason why I'm putting Tub Thumpin' as number one, with all the reasons combined, the topically relevant situations. I mean, you can be at TED, you can be at church, you can be talking with your friends, and somebody will say something that reminds you of the phrase, I get knocked down, but I get up again, ain't nothing gonna keep me down. I butchered one of the words there, but you get the idea. Somebody's going to say something like that. And it's gonna get the song to come back to your head. And then it's gonna keep playing in your head over and over and over and over, and it's not gonna stop because your brain doesn't know when to stop because it just keeps looping in the original song, and your brain gives itself instructions of this line happens, and then the same line happens, and 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 by now you can have the line and then the same line happens that I just said stuck in your head. I'm sorry.
I think I'm gonna have your explanation stuck in my head a little bit. That looped around a couple times as well. No, but I completely understand, and it is an amazing song, and probably even of the 5 that we presented to you, the most in-depth and musically. I don't know. It's a good song. It's a good song.
Am I the only person who finds it weird that Tub Thumping by Chumbawamba is actually has some kind of musical explanation behind it? I didn't know there was music in the song, to be honest.
What I want to know is, are we prepared to say that 1997 was the greatest year of music because Mbop was 1997, Chumbawamba was 1997? Can you imagine listening to the radio in that year?
Oh my gosh, please no. I feel like I would turn on the radio for half an hour and then turn it off for the rest of my life. Not because the songs are bad, but because overplay alone can kill a song. I have friends who hate Don't Stop Believin' of all songs.
Yeah.
Because of the sheer overplay.
Well, especially if you're from a smaller city that only has 1 or 2 main radio stations, then you're just screwed. So,
just one other thing, we had an honorable mention on the first half of the show. Barbie Girl, you're not going to believe this, also 1997.
Wow.
Did all of these songs come out in 1997? Did Gangnam Style come out in 1997?
We just didn't know. It came out in Korea, so that's why it took that long to get over here.
Oh, yeah, that's how long
sense?
it takes to ship things sometimes.
Awesome. Well, that is our top 5 list. You have ranked Orlando into the win for this episode. He has 9 points. I got 6 points because Orlando had Mbop, Tub Thumping, and My Sharona. To my Who Let the Dogs Out and Gangnam Style, of course, was mine. So congratulations, Orlando.
Thank you very much. We are now 1-1. We'll have to have a rubber match to decide the ultimate list rate rank victor.
I'm trying to clap and it's not working.
Well, I'm pretty sure he probably had to slip you a couple bucks or something to get you picking the way you did. But Hunter,
Orlando, you do owe me. You haven't paid up yet.
I do apologize.
Hunter, tell us then the 5 that you brought as your examples of the top 5 songs that get stuck in your head. Earworm songs.
Okay, disclaimer. When we were discussing this earlier, you said to pull out the songs that get stuck in my head, so I didn't poll anybody or anything like that. I wish I'd posted on Facebook and Twitter and asked what songs get stuck in your head most, because that would have been honestly fascinating. Instead, I pulled out the ones that got stuck in my head, and also, let's be honest, I can't remember what song got stuck in my head more than a week ago, and honestly, I can't remember what I was doing more than a week ago. So as soon as we started talking about doing this episode last Wednesday, I started writing down any songs that got stuck in my head, and then just narrowed out the ones that didn't get stuck in my head for very long. There was one that stayed there for 5 minutes, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so the 5 that I pulled out in the last week for just me personally And for exactly the same reasons that we were talking about, looping sections, sections, overexposure, and lyrically relevant situations or topically relevant situations, or whatever you want, or however you want to say it, were in this particular order: Anna Sun by Walk the Moon. And you're probably thinking, what is that song? 4 was Stay the Night by Zed featuring Hayley Williams, because of the looping sections and the lyrically relevant situation. 3 was Something Just Like This by the Chainsmokers and Coldplay. 2, you're going to think this is absolutely just insane.
If you say Gangnam Style, I'm going to punch you I'm going to find a way to punch you.
It's exciting.
I'm kidding. Last night, my girlfriend and I were watching Christopher Robin, and all day today, Winnie the Pooh theme has been stuck in my head.
Ah, okay.
And number 1 was Save Me San Francisco by Train. I absolutely love that song. Hearing the tune makes me very happy, and you have no idea how many times it's got stuck in my head over the last week, and how many times I've been walking home and singing that at the top of my lungs where you could hear it 5 blocks away.
Awesome. Besides the Winnie the Pooh theme, I have not heard of those songs, so I'll be sure to look them up, create a playlist.
Something Just Like This?
No, I don't think. I might have. I just might not know the title.
Thumping of 2014. 2015.
If anybody's not familiar with any of these songs, I'll sing them after the credits.
Save Me San Francisco wasn't really that popular. It was a single off the same album as Hey Soul Sister, and one of their other humongous songs, I think, was Play That Song. So, like,
Hey Soul Sister, I've heard that one. That's also a very catchy, very earwormy song.
Cool. It's just the other songs in the album completely eclipse this one song, and nobody even heard of it. So there are my extremely biased, extremely skewed, extremely experiential, and extremely temporary five main ones. By the way, part of the reason why I picked Something Just Like This is because I've been editing an episode about Something Just Like This, or rather re-editing an episode, putting video to it to put it on YouTube. So I've been hearing the song way too much in the last week or so.
Well, and again, that's like my current ones that are stuck in my head are all ABBA songs, because we just recently did that episode and I watched the movies and things like that. So yeah, you're right. It does change from time to time. And I think the everlasting quality of some of them specifically are what make them memorable. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on List Rate Rank and being our expert, providing us with guidance and education and controversy. I hope you had a good time.
I'm very glad that I could shine some light on some songs that you couldn't escape if you wanted to.
Tell our listeners a little bit more about how they could find your podcast, Song Appeal, and where they could find you on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and things like that.
Song Appeal is available on every podcasting platform that I can possibly think of, everything from Radio Public to Spotify. And yes, it is on Apple Podcasts, don't worry. It's also going to be relaunched as a YouTube series on the first week of September, which you can also find under Song Appeal. Just search Song Appeal on any of those and you'll find it. You can also find me on Twitter at Song Appeal, or on Facebook or Instagram under Song Appeal Official. Yeah, for some reason there's a band called Song Appeal that grabbed the Facebook account before I did, so I chose Song Appeal Official, but they didn't grab the Twitter account before I did, so I got Song Appeal. Yay.
Take that, Song Appeal.
You can also find Song Appeal, the episodes and the transcripts and the show notes and everything at songappealofficial.com. Blame the official on the band.
All right. Well, thank you again. Thank you, Orlando, for stepping in and co-hosting this episode with me. This has been the top 5 earworm songs that get stuck in your head.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, guys.
All right. Thank you.
Have a wonderful day. Bye.
All right, you too. Bye.
Thank you.
Please rate and subscribe to List Rate Rank on iTunes, Google Play, or wherever you download your podcasts. Follow at List Rate Rank on Twitter and Instagram, and like List Rate Rank on Facebook to join in on the fun. This has been List Rate Rank.
And many more.
Do, 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 do.
List, rate, rank.
There's your opener.
Or the ending.
Yeah. This could be the end.